All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible brand transformations, maybe ever. We're going to break down the story of Calvin Broadus Jr., the one and only Snoop Dogg, and how he went from being one of the most feared rappers in America to, well, one of its most beloved icons.
I mean, that's the whole puzzle, right? The big question hanging over Snoop's career is how in the world does a guy who personified gangsta rap become this cuddly mainstream figure? It's a journey that just defies all expectations.
Just look at the contrast here. It is staggering. You have 1993 Snoop on trial for murder, the poster child for everything the establishment was afraid of. Then you have today's Snoop baking brownies with Martha Stewart and commentating on the Olympics. It's like you're looking at two completely different human beings.
So yeah, that is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How did this happen? How do you go from public enemy number one to America's favorite uncle? That's exactly the story we're going to get into.
To really understand the reinvention, we have to go back, way back, to the beginning, to his roots in Long Beach, California, and the birth of a sound that would change music forever.
His youth was this fascinating mix of two different worlds. On one hand, you had Calvin Broadus Jr., a kid his parents called Snoopy, who was playing piano and singing in the church choir. On the other hand, you had a teenager running with the Rolling 20s Crips. This mix of smooth and street, it would end up defining his entire career.
His big break came when a mixtape of his somehow landed in the hands of the legendary Dr. Dre. And what's interesting is Dre wasn't drawn to aggression. He was captivated by Snoop's style. In an era where rappers were basically shouting, Snoop's delivery was laid back, it was melodic, almost like he was just talking to you. It was completely new.
And together, they basically pioneered a whole new sound, G-Funk. It's that hypnotic, smooth vibe. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Those slow, funky bass lines and high-pitched whining synths on Dr. Dre's album The Chronic, that was the sound, and Snoop's voice was the absolute perfect instrument for it.
And the result of all that? Well, when Snoop dropped his debut album, Doggy Style, back in 1993, it became the first debut album in history to enter the charts at #1. The first, ever. He wasn't just a star, he was a full-blown phenomenon from day one.
But here's the crazy part. Right at this unbelievable peak of success, he was literally fighting for his freedom. He was on trial for murder. He was eventually acquitted, but that created this massive public tension. He was a chart-topping superstar and a public enemy at the exact same time.
Now, after the fall of Death Row Records, a lot of people thought Snoop's career was over. They figured, that's it for him. But they seriously underestimated his greatest talent. The man is an absolute master of reinvention.
I mean, look at this timeline. He didn't just stick to G-Funk, nope. He moved down to New Orleans to master the Southern sound with No Limit. Then he linked up with Pharrell for a massive pop hit. After that, he became a reggae artist called Snoop Lion. And then he even produced a whole gospel album. He is a true musical chameleon.
So how did he make that final leap from just a rap star to this universally beloved figure? Well, it really comes down to two surprisingly connected things: Martha Stewart and marijuana.
Seriously, the single biggest turning point for his public image was his completely unexpected friendship with Martha Stewart. They first met on her show way back in 2008, but the real chemistry sparked when they sat next to each other at a comedy roast, and against all odds, they just clicked.
Snoop himself said it perfectly. It wasn't some forced PR stunt. He felt a real, genuine connection with her, and the public could see that authenticity. You just can't fake that.
So, why did this odd couple work so well? Well, first, the visual of a Long Beach Crip next to a Connecticut homemaker is just pure comedic gold. But more importantly, it humanized Snoop for an audience that had only ever seen him as a gangster. Their show was a huge Emmy-nominated hit, and it made him seem like a funny, charming friend, which led to huge commercial deals and Super Bowl ads.
And at the same time all this was happening, society's views on marijuana were changing fast. He didn't have to hide his love for it anymore. In fact, as legalization started to spread, he leaned into it, positioning himself not just as a consumer, but as a business leader. And he played it brilliantly. First, he launched his own brand, one of the first big celebrity cannabis brands out there. Then he co-founded a whole venture capital firm to invest in the industry. And finally, just by being so open and casual about it, he helped normalize cannabis for millions of people, helping to remove that old stigma.
So all of this has culminated in what you could call his final form, a beloved global mascot, a figure who transcends age, race, and genre. He's not just Snoop Dogg anymore. To pretty much everyone, he's Uncle Snoop.
And he's reached this uncle status by just embracing everything. He's a gamer who streams on Twitch, so he connects with Gen Z. And of course, his hilarious commentary at the Olympics with Kevin Hart became a massive viral sensation.
I mean, come on. Describing an Olympic horse doing dressage as crip walking? That one moment proved that Snoop's charisma is so powerful, he can make literally anything in the world entertaining and make it uniquely his own.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, his story is really one of survival. Think about it. He survived the rap wars that took his peers, he survived censorship battles with the government, and he survived the justice system. He came out on the other side of all of it, still smiling.
And in the end, I think that's the real lesson here. Snoop Dogg's incredible rebrand wasn't about changing who he was to fit in. It was about being so undeniably authentic, so relentlessly charismatic, that the mainstream had no other choice but to change and adapt to him. And that just might be his greatest legacy of all.